So, Catherine, I want to start with really kind of starting with Street Flame and meeting Soul there. Can you talk about, was this character someone you knew was going to come into fruition? Like, how does this all link? I love how you're able to bring him through, because he was so dynamic. I remember him from his hair alone. To pull him into this, it's magnificent. It's wonderful to find this.
Yeah, I mean, I knew after making Street Flame that I was really interested in working with Suave again as an actor and in something larger like a feature. And I didn't know who that character would be, but I knew that I wanted that character to be a musician, because Suave's a musician in real life and a rapper too. And so that was important to me to sort of showcase some of his other abilities on camera. And I also just love hip hop music in general. So the idea of setting something in the world of SoundCloud rap and hip hop was cool.
How much fun was it to literally, we have, gosh, I want to say almost like 5 songs that are in the movie itself. Can you talk about how spontaneous those moments are, how scripted, how much footage are you using? How do you capture some? Because you're using different cameras, you're using cell phones. I mean, I can't imagine all the difference you were using. It's amazing the number of different shots we get.
Yeah, I mean, before we filmed the movie, we had a band camp where we made some of the music that was going to be in the film and performed in the film live. And so a lot of those songs and beats were things that were pre-created and pre-production. And then I would say there are a few scenes in the movie that are true freestyles that are just spontaneous and improvised. And some of those, you know, like the actors had the beats beforehand, so maybe they had time to sort of think about it. But when it's happening on screen, it's really me hearing it for the first time, and the energy was one of a freestyle. And then some of the performances are, you know, I guess songs that they already knew the words to in advance. So it really just depends on the scene, because there's actually like closer to 11 original songs in the
11.
film. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I guess counting the show, because there's multiple. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm including songs like, you know, there's a scene where one of the characters is playing a song on the guitar at the end of the fire. Like, that's included. So that's a song that actor who, Alex Brackney, who plays Mao, wrote before the movie, and we just incorporated it into the film, but I'm including it as part of the original soundtrack of the film.
How important is that soundtrack? I feel like there's so much life for this film on so many different levels, but that music has to be something you're passionate about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with how the music turned out. When I went to that band camp, I wasn't sure how the songs were going to be, or what the sound would be like. I had hopes, but it exceeded my expectations, and I'm really grateful to the group of musicians and songwriters and producers and sound engineers and everyone who came together to make that music, because it was a really collaborative experience, and it was really special just being in that room.
What was it like working with your DP on the color and the tone of color? I mean, there's a lot of it you're mirroring inside and outside, especially when we get to Marfa. Like, the look of Marfa has a feel to it. Can you talk about capturing tones and giving them to different places, like Austin? El Paso has a different feel.
Yeah. Well, we knew that we were going to have limited professional lighting gear, and so we had these LED lights where you could change the colors of those LED lights, and we wanted to have certain scenes, especially those interior night scenes that have a lot of color, like inside the van or inside a certain room. We wanted to sort of create a color tone for those individual scenes that sort of reflect the emotion of those scenes. So there's some scenes that are like all green or all pink, and it's a pretty vibrant, colorful film in that way. And then I would say like Marfa and El Paso sort of take on the color of the sun, and us shooting so close to really nice times of day like sunset and sunrise, it allowed for us to just like capture the like desert hues of those skies and those places, and I think that comes across on screen.
Definitely. How did you shoot in the bus? There is a lot more movement in this bus shots than I ever thought we'd ever see. We spend a lot of time in there.
Yeah, I mean, we are really on the road driving in a lot of those scenes. Like, it's not like we're on a process trailer or anything.
Yeah.
So in those scenes, the DP's sitting sort of in the middle, behind the driver in the passenger seat, but in front of the rest of the van. And in the trunk, me, the AC, and the sound person are all in the trunk. So it was a cramped environment, but
What are y'all shooting on? Is that handheld the whole time?
yeah, that was all handheld, and it's being shot on the Alexa Mini. And the DP is not using a rig; just he had like a shoulder pad, and he was just putting it on his shoulder and operating just
With you guys in the trunk.
Yeah, exactly. And, there's only so many directions you can shoot when you're placed in a certain location. Like, the camera can only go left, right, straight. But we had a zoom lens on the camera, so that would minimize the lens changes taking place and also allowed for more mobility between those shots where we could go a little bit wider or closer. And a lot of those shots are on a wider lens, so you can kind of see a lot of the other characters in the van.
Yeah, it's great shots. As far as the story, especially Wesley and that family aspect, where did that story come from? Was that originally from you? Was it anything pulled from the actors or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the part of this character's story and journey that resonated with me was somebody sort of coming from an unconventional home situation, having maybe a broken family or just lack of parents, and trying to figure out life and pursue a big dream without that support system. And I think that was something personal to me that I wanted to incorporate in this film, which is about finding family and community and through a hobby or a passion. And, just how, like, if you don't have that, it's a lot harder sometimes to just move forward in the world. So I think that was like the heart of the story in some ways.
Definitely. You brought in an editor for this. You've edited your shorts before. What was it like having another presence in that edit for you?
It was so amazing. It was probably one of the best things about working on this feature, because on my short films, I really enjoyed editing them, but it took a really long time because I'm only able to sort of be in front of the screen for so long. And for a feature where you have a lot of footage, and I don't know, it just was so helpful having a second pair of eyes and someone else who is also sort of going through all that footage. And Isaac, the editor, actually approached me about editing the film. We went to film school together at UT, and he was in my cohort, and he knew I was on this feature, and he had lent some of our sound equipment to us, and he was like, if you don't have an editor, I'm interested if you're considering someone in town. And he lives like 5 minutes away from me, so it was a really convenient situation because I could just drive over and work on it in his bedroom basically. And yeah, I think the speed at which we worked was a testament to like Isaac putting in a lot of hours too.
For a low budget indie, this looks amazing. How much of the visual look of this film was important to capture? Because I feel like there's a vibrancy, there's a movement, switching to like even just the movement of the characters. I loved how visually vibrant throughout. It matches his hair, weirdly enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the visual world was really important for the film. I wanted it to be a colorful film, like you said, matching his hair, but also just the personalities of the characters on screen. And so, some of it is the production design and the costumes and the color choices in the lighting, and then also being really particular about the locations we're putting them in. So, I location scouted some of the locations in El Paso, like the Rainbow Skate Park, and or even just like the Prada Marfa stop. Like that's just such a cinematic setting to be in. So I think all of those things contributed to creating that image. And then Donald was really great at being able to light something without having a lot of gear, basically. And so, it was just a team effort for sure.
You've done amazing at festivals with your films. This one in particular has a wonderful journey. How much fun has it been to showcase this film and get recognition the way you have? It's beautiful. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah. It's been really fun just getting to watch the film with an audience, because I made the film hoping it would be an entertaining film for an audience. And I'm still like on the tour of festivals and visiting different cities to see the film with different audiences. So it's been fun so far. I feel like I haven't played like a ton of festivals yet. It's really just been Tribeca, El Paso here, and one off near Seattle and Bainbridge Island. Yeah, so those are the only audiences that have seen the film, which it sounds like a lot, but I feel like it's not a ton yet, but I'm excited for the ones ahead.
Very nice. Can you talk about the name, the title of your film?
Yeah, Lost Souls. It's interesting because it wasn't the working title we had when I wrote the script and during production. And it was something that came to mind in post-production. It was a convergence of multiple factors. There are a few songs in the film that have the word lost in them. There's the song Lost in Austin. There's the song Lost Soul. He's like, oh, I'm just a young lost soul. And there's like this Tupac song called Lost Souls. And so I guess like all of those things kind of were on my mind when thinking about the title. And the Tupac thing's important because on the script, like the way the script starts, it's like a Tupac quote from one of his songs. And then, and then the script begins. And so I think that like the Tupac song, and he has a poem called Lost Souls with the Z at the end, like that was kind of like, oh, like that's cool. And then, lost is a word that is in the movie a lot. And so
it's serendipitous.
Yeah, that's sort of how it came together. But it was actually a really like long thought process thinking of like all the possible titles for the film.
Very nice. Since your work seems to be organic in how you find it, can I ask what is next? Like, how are you looking? Have you found it? I mean, like, where are you going next with your work?
Yeah, there's a couple of ideas that have kind of organically come to me without me really seeking them out, but I'm not sure which one's going to sort of materialize into a real film yet, and so I don't know yet. But I don't know. I feel like the ideas, they always come, so it's not something that's not the hard part of the process. I think the part that makes it feel real is when like a specific collaborator sort of hops on board and sort of confirms the project by sort of wanting to join the process, maybe. And so that hasn't happened yet, so we'll see.
Yeah, each project's gotten bigger and bigger, especially cast. Wow. Lastly, I'd love to know, since there are 11 songs, that I'm curious, is there a moment you captured or a song that you're so happy that you got into the work that means the most to you, maybe?
Yeah, I think my favorite song in the movie is the song, we called it Loneliness, and it's the song that they're singing, that they make together in the scene when they're in the studio, and then it plays again when they're in the skate park, and it's sort of the fully produced version, and it's kind of like a slower R&B-ish kind of song, and I love the lyrics to that song because the lyrics are sort of about being lonely and trying to find a home in the world, and I feel like that's the message of the film, so I'm really happy with that song. That said, I love a lot of the songs in the movie, so I'm a fan of many of them.
Very cool. Catherine, thank you for bringing this here, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. It's a wonderful movie. Thank you.
Thank you so much.